Well, good evening or good morning, depending upon where you are, maybe even good afternoon. Where I am, it's the 20th of December 2023, and it's about 024 hours for those of you who know what military time is. And it was one of those nights where I just felt like I just want to go to bed. I'm tired of following this. I'm tired of all the bad news. I'm tired of all the crazy stuff that's going on. So I laid down and no, that little voice in my head said, "Nope, you got to get up and do this." So here we are. Welcome as you come in. This one's going to be a little strange. A lot of you will probably be shaking your heads and scoffing at it, but I can assure you that it's factual. Uh, I've talked a long time about my contact with members of secret societies who had left those societies or who felt that they needed to talk to me about some of the things that they had learned, some of the things that they were involved in. And I've never been specific about that. And even today, tonight, I'm not going to be specific about those individuals. That just would not be a good idea. But what I can tell you is something that has been skipped over, ignored, uh, made into something else, ridiculed by many in the world. And like I said, what I'm about to say is going to turn a lot of you off, and that's okay because uh, what I'm going to say will be manifest to you, and it has been already, and it will be more so as things progress. My background and experiences, most of I searched a lot of religions when I was growing up, even after I became an adult. And at one point in time, for quite a while, I was exposed to, I became a member of what was then called the Mormon Church. They got embarrassed by that, so now they call it the Church of Jesus Christ. And there are reasons even for that. But while in that church, one of the things they have is what they call an endowment. And that endowment is basically something very similar to the Masonic order rituals. Not exactly, but somewhat. Of course, when I first got involved with it, I was only, 17, 18 years old and all that, so I really didn't understand all the nuances. But as I progressed through uh, growing up and maturing and studying, which is something I've always done, I started to realize that there were some interesting things going on, and I got in trouble with the church for asking questions. They didn't they didn't just excommunicate me because of my experience in plural marriage. There were other factors involved: asking the church, questioning doctrine, questioning history, questioning the very foundations, and especially Joseph Smith's contacts in his day. Joseph Smith was the founder of Mormonism. What I learned was that Joseph Smith was a member of at least one secret society, Masonic in basically in its formulation, and so there have been people that say that he copied his best known work, the Book of Mormon, that it was actually he had actually plagiarized somebody else. Well, that's not entirely false. It's not entirely false, as I'm going to explain here. Uh, what he saw when he was in these secret societies apparently alarmed him to such an extent, and he had already started his church. That's true, but he had had some early on experiences that then as he got into these secret societies, he was able to kind of put things together. He's a pretty smart guy. An opportunist, yeah. Uh, a treasure hunter, yeah, probably. A lot of us are. We just don't call it that these days. We go to work and slave for a corporation to try to make our fortune, and of course that hardly ever works. But at any rate, he made a lot of contacts, a lot of important people at a lot of high levels in these secret societies. And the development of the Book of Mormon wasn't really uh, what the church claims it to be now, or even what he claimed it to be in his day. What am I saying? I'm saying he wrote a book that was designed to tell what he knew about the future according to the plans of these secret societies, especially for the destruction of Western society, Christianity, um, the Abrahamic religions in general, but specifically Christianity, and the American people specifically. As I said, I've I've wanted to talk about this in very specific detail for a long time, but I just didn't feel the time was right. Well, I think the time is right now, and that's why I couldn't sleep tonight. In the description box below is a video from The Redacted with Clayton Morris, and he's interviewing a gentleman who is a former Special Forces guy who has been on the border and around the world actually looking at this entire thing with the migration that you see happening. And I'm just going to call it that at this point. And its purpose is not really well known by most people, even though they know it's going to hurt our economy and those types of things. That's not the end game, just to harm the economy. The people that have led the United States have had contacts. There are a lot of them belong to these secret societies. A lot of them have very close ties to a country in the Middle East that most of us know about that's involved in some rather hideous and heinous stuff right now. And they get funded by these people, even though they're aware of what's going on. They just spout the official line. But in fact, the end result isn't just the takedown of the economy. It is a mass culling. Being careful what words I use here. I don't want to use them too often because I'm going to read something that I posted on X tonight. So if you're looking at this video in the description box, you'll see this interview, and it's getting even more serious. In 2011, I saw what was happening, and I did a documentary on the situation on the southern border, and it's entitled Borders, Mexican Drug War or Insurrection. It's in my playlists under documentaries and films on this channel. You go to the playlist tab, then you go down and you find my documentaries and films, and you'll find it there. A lot of you already know about it. So I've been on this path for a very long time. My experiences in the military as a police officer, my studies in history, my contact with these people that I've just mentioned that were members of these societies. Some of them didn't even know each other, okay? Why did they talk to me? Because I came out publicly in the 1980s, not by choice, but I was forced to do that because of what the Murray Police Department, the Mormon Church, and the state of Utah did to me, and I needed to defend myself. I needed to stand up, even though it was not a popular position, and I warned at the time that because of what they would do to me, that this nation would go into degeneracy, and that the things that we see happening today, which I can't say here today because I want this to go up, are happening everywhere. It's a lot of people say, well, it's only a small percentage of the population. That's the point. It's being pushed as if it's a major thing that it's something that everybody goes along with, and I hope you're reading between the lines. It's part of the program to take us down. Now, a lot of you know about the Pike letter in the 1800s, the Albert Pike letter, and a lot of people have basically debunked that. I'm not here to say that he actually wrote it, and I've said this before. It doesn't matter. Whoever wrote that letter, be it Albert Pike or whomever, knew what the plan was and was revealing it. The same goes with the Book of Mormon. Not so much the D&C, that's another, or the Pearl of Great Price. Those are other what Mormons would consider Holy Writ. Not so much in there, although there is quite a bit of evidence in the D&C, which is the Doctrine and Covenants. There is quite a bit in there. But I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on what everybody knows about the Book of Mormon, because even Mormons don't understand what they're being told. They think it's a history of some ancient people that went from the Middle East and sailed across the oceans to the American continent and settled here, both North and South America. Joseph Smith wrote this for the same reason as George Orwell wrote his 1984. It's not just fiction. It's a prediction of what's coming, a warning. In the Book of Mormon, it talks about secret societies. It actually says that. It talks about a group called the Gadianton Robbers that had infiltrated even the governments to take them over. Does this sound familiar? This was a plan. Actually, it's seen its play out throughout history a number of times, but this is the current one, and the target was the United States of America, but also Western Europeans in general, the white Western Europeans and Americans in general. Now, I'm not saying the white people have done a lot of everything good. What they did with Manifest Destiny and the Native Americans that were here, totally unjust, horrible. It's the same thing that's happening basically in that Middle Eastern country right now to a smaller group of people. The bankers got a hold of us, and we started doing all these wars and things, trying to make an empire. All that was wrong, okay? It was wrong. And I've talked about all of that. But that still does not negate what's coming, because all of those things, and even the degeneracy that's pushed upon us now, that's for the same reason that the Luciferians, for lack of a better term, will tell you what they're going to do before they do it. For instance, Klaus Schwab just told us not too long ago that there's going to be, about 2 years ago, he was saying there's going to be a major cyber attack. And it's going to be worse than what happened during the sickness for those few years. And now here we are. Things are starting to happen in that way. So they tell you before so that they're not responsible for your inaction and your disbelief. The karma won't come back on them. They're kidding themselves. It really is going to come back on them. It's just not immediate, necessarily. But that's essentially what the Pike letter was about, and what Joseph Smith was writing about is what these plans were. And Joseph Smith couched it in a book, basically trying to look like a religious text. And Mormons are going to get very mad about this. They're going to be absolutely adamant that this was the Word of God, and that Joseph Smith received this as a revelation and all that. That doesn't matter, Mormons, or anybody else that studied it and scoffed at it. I'm going to tell you what's important. That it is the 1984 of George Orwell in different terms. For the same reason, disguised as Orwell's 1984, so was the Book of Mormon. I have had contact, Twitter, X, with Senator Mike Lee from Utah. He won't answer me, but my reputation precedes me almost all the time. People don't listen to me because of what, and I'm not demanding that they do. Don't misunderstand me. I'm paying off my karma for having served this wicked empire for so many years, and for having fallen for the decadence and the lies of these different religious institutions that are just designed to keep you in check. So, for that reason, I started coming out a few years ago. I really did back in the 80s when I was forced to go public because of what they were doing to me. I started to talk then. And I didn't know as much then, of course, as I know now. So, with that background, Senator Mike Lee, for instance, is a member of the Mormon Church, and he must understand. He can't pretend he doesn't. He must understand that the secret societies are not what the Mormon Church preaches today to try to explain the Book of Mormon. They say it's alcohol companies and tobacco companies, stuff like that. No, these are actual secret societies with the purpose of destroying you and your loved ones. And the Mormon Church is complicit in this whole thing. Even though the Mormon people, by and large, are very good, if the Mormon leaders don't know what the Book of Mormon is really saying, they've chosen not to understand it. So let me read to you. When I saw Clayton Morris's interview in the description box below, the link is there. And I posted it on my community notes about half hour, an hour ago, thinking that that would be sufficient for me to go to sleep. And it wasn't. That constant nagging in my heart and in my head made me get up and do this. So if you want to see the community post, you can go to the community post, the community tab, and go down and you'll see the post that I made. If you don't have X, old Twitter, you'll only be able, if you click on the link or put it in your address box, you'll only get to see the first post of the thread that I wrote. I would suggest, again, even though you don't want to be a part of X, if you want to get information like this sooner than most people can put it up, you really need to get it, and then to follow just a certain number of people, myself, maybe Redacted, maybe Libertarian, that's David Knight, people like that, whatever. You don't have to get everybody. You can filter it out. But it is necessary. A lot of you will say, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, all right, well, I kind of understand, but I also think you're slitting your own throat, okay? All right, with that background information, like I said, I'm doing this with some trepidation. This is dangerous stuff. The Mormon Church security people have come after me more than once, and they're tied in with the intelligence communities because of this information. Do you understand? Senator Mike Lee, do you understand? Representative Chris Stewart, do you understand? Ask Mitt Romney. Ask him. He won't tell you unless you already know something about it and you're just keeping your mouth shut and going down this yellow brick road to your destruction and the destruction of all your people. So let me read this. So after I saw the video by Clayton Morris, as I said, I did this Twitter thread, this X thread, and then I posted the link onto my community posts on YouTube, thinking I could get by with just that, and I'm not. I ended up having to come on and read this to you, so here we go. This will take just a couple of minutes. What is happening is not hypocrisy. It is intentional. We are suffering massive multi-frontal attacks, internal subversion, and siege warfare upon the American people and the West. The end result is annihilation. I have mentioned on my YouTube channel that this entire war, and that's what it is, was predicted and planned by secret societies in the 1800s. By the way, I also, when I did this thread, I typed it out and then I went back to edit it, and X froze and I could not make the typos. I could not correct them. So if you see this on X, those typos I did want to fix, but X froze it and I couldn't do it. No surprise, right? Some of the plans were written as fictional stories in some historical setting, but they were actually like Orwell's 1984, a real blueprint for the operation. Just one of these is your Bible. I can hear the Christians tearing out their hair right now, and even some Jewish people. But that's the way it is. Some of the others might be just as surprising to you. Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, was a member of a secret society, and in the Book of Mormon is a story of the Lamanites, that's what he called them. They were the southern, darker skinned peoples from Central and South America who invaded the North America, and made war upon and genocided the lighter skinned Nephites, men, women, and children. You Mormons know what I'm saying. You just didn't understand what you were being told. All of them. In other words, they were genocided. All of the Nephite men, women, and children except for one man left to tell the story. You need somebody to tell the story, right? In reality, the Book of Mormon was not a scripture or a history, but a revealing of the secret societies in a form that was like Orwell's 1984. In fact, Smith was killed for revealing it, not even for his polygamy or the destruction of the Nauvoo expositor, which was part of him trying to defend himself against the secret societies that were then coming after him. And again, in fact, Smith was killed for revealing it. Scoff all you want. It is a fact. You are seeing it unfold with your own eyes today. This video link above to Redacted shows one aspect of this plan being carried out. Again, this is a full spectrum, multi-front attack disguised as a social issue, a humanitarian issue, not as what it is, an invasion. The actions you are about to witness in America and the West generally will make all genocides in history pale in comparison. Our political leaders are nearly all complicit. You could throw in corporations to that, even churches. As this video above points out, the redacted video that's in the description box, they have basically admitted it for years. Chuck Schumer said it. Many politicians and news people have admitted that specifically the way they say it is that whites will be a minority in America within the next decade or so. This isn't a racist thing, by the way. I'm just telling you what the plan was. Okay? I'm not holding anything against any black people, Orientals, whatever. No. It's that we've been used to hate each other and to cause wars. I'm just telling you what the plan was, okay? As this video above points out, they have basically admitted it for years. Our treasure and blood have been spent not to secure our liberty and lives, but to undermine them. Prep, pray, stay out of the way, but be prepared to defend yourselves, which will be interpreted by the police state that you are the extremist terrorist for merely trying to stay alive. In California right now, because the courts have struck down a lot of their Second Amendment infringements, what the state is doing now is making it illegal for you to defend yourself. If you defend yourself, especially with a firearm, they arrest you for that. So they're getting around it that way. So this is a true statement. I have waited for a long time to spell this out in detail, but it is now time. I was shown these things with the documentation, and I don't mean just the Book of Mormon that I've been mentioning, I mean other things, by former members of these societies. And then I make a final comment. X froze on me while doing this thread, and I could not go back and edit the typos. I apologize. But considering the subject matter and content, I am not surprised. And then I've spent the last little while sending that out to all the people that I thought might be of importance to know this. And like I said, a lot of them are just going to go, oh, poo poo, poo poo. That's fine. You're seeing it fulfilled on a daily basis right in front of you. So scoff at me all you want. Ridicule me for my lifestyle, to take my former lifestyle, to take your attention off of what's happening to you, like they do everybody else that tries to speak out. And I'm giving you some meat now that you can go and look yourself. Go buy a Book of Mormon at, you can buy it, in a bookstore, or you can, if you see Mormon missionaries, pick one up. They'll think you're going to convert to the church. Don't convert to the Mormon church. Once you're there, you're captured. And if you try to bring up anything that's questionable in their history or in what they say, they cause you all kinds of personal grief. I'm a personal testimony of that. But get a copy of it and read it, and you'll see. It talks right in there about the secret societies and the Gadianton robbers and how they took down governments and civilizations, just like they're doing right now. It was a prediction, not a history, although I'm sure he had some histories of, these secret societies before, because they've existed throughout history. But that was the real purpose of the Book of Mormon. And then what Joseph Smith was trying to do is, once he got people to take that, he would look around and find out who had an open mind and who really understood the principles of liberty, and he'd take them aside and say, look, this is what's really going on. And with some of those people that were also members of secret societies that end up coming after him and taking his life. I'm not saying he was a perfect person. I'm not even saying he was a prophet, seer, and revelator like the church does. I'm saying that he knew things because he had been there and seen them, like I'm telling you now. That's all I got for you. It's taken 30 minutes for me to do it, but I wanted to get it out of my to-do list because I really do want to go to sleep tonight. Thank you for coming. I am going to ask you, and I don't do this often. I did it on a couple of videos within the last couple of months. I've said make sure this gets shared. Well, I'm going to ask you, share this video, send it far and wide, click the like button, all the things they say, which I never do. I like I Allegedly, Dan. He does a great job on financial stuff. I don't understand most of what he's talking about because I'm not a financial guy, but if you watch I Allegedly, I know BP Earthwatch follows him, Jesse. And all these guys, they always say, and before I go any further, click the like button and share this video. But I have a reason to ask you to do it, because this is the finale that we're entering in right now. We are entering the final act. Well, Roy, why didn't you talk about this before? I have, but I've tried to do it in a manner which it wouldn't make me sound like a cultic lunatic. People say, well, you didn't succeed. You still sound like a cultic lunatic. All right, but at least I got it out now. And I've given you the background since 2009 when I first started YouTube. All right. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Be prepared to defend yourself, but don't get involved in anything. Don't partake in what they're going to try to get your sons and daughters and even you in over here. Do you know in Ukraine right now, they want a 500,000 soldier army. They're going to take all women, children, old people, everybody. They're going to sacrifice, just as I said, 2 years ago when this started, that this is to empty Ukraine out of the white Christians. And the same thing that's happening to the Palestinians in Israel and happened to the Ukrainian people, they want to happen here. And they're bringing in the army right now to do it. The banking system has attacked you. The politicians have attacked you. They've attacked your Bill of Rights. They've attacked everything. They're undermining you from every possible angle. Multifaceted frontal assault, full spectrum dominance. And we let them get away with it so far. I don't know that we can turn it around. But if you prep, pray, stay out of the way, try to get out of the system as best you can, not partake in what they want you to get involved in either. You see something going on down the street, with one of these Marxist organizations, fighting the cops. Cops asked for it. They wanted to turn a blind eye when you needed help from the government. They're the goons to help the government. Leave them alone. They deserve what they get. They should be arresting the politicians and the corporate leaders and even some ecclesiastical leaders. And they don't. They don't really understand their oath. They don't care. They worry about the majority of them worry about their paycheck, their pension, and getting home at night. That's all they care about. They don't give a shit about you. Same with the military. Sorry. It's all changed. It's not like it was even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And there are people now that are admitting it. Situational awareness on high. Eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the final act. I'm not saying it's going to all come down crashing tomorrow. Have you ever seen a cat play with a mouse? They enjoy watching you suffer. It gets them off. Literally. God bless you. We're going to need it.